We're learning the Sikha. This is a Sikha of Chelik Chavdalid, Parasha Shoftim. The second Sikha, as you see here, let's see if Beis we're holding on page 108. In some of the copies, it's on the first page. Okay, so the question that the Rebbe asks in Sif Aleph, we learned last week, is that the Remez in the Torah, for one of the places, the sources in the Torah for the coming of Moshiach is in the Parasha of Ari Miklot, where the Torah says, in Parasha Shoftim, the lost of love, the Eibusha will expand your borders, and then you're going to add another 3 additional Ari Miklot. In addition to the 6, there will be another 3 in the lands of Keni, Knizi, and Kadmoni. So the question that the Arizal, the Shloah Kodesh, the Al-Sheikh ask is, how could you say that lost of love, there's going to be a concept of Ritzicha, and there'll be a need for Ari Miklot? We learned last week with all the footnotes that everyone went through the whole discussion, and the bottom line is that even Ritzicha b'shoigig is not going to be a possibility lost of lavai. When it says v'kitutu charbaisam le'itim, and it's also a time period where it says ruach hatum avim min haaretz. Even a veda that happens b'shoigig is a result of a certain ra hanelam, a certain concealed evil that causes it. So how is it possible b'chlal to be any aveda lost of lavai even b'shoigig? That's the question. So let's continue inside Sif Beis. Here, before the Rebbe comes to the answer that he gives, the Rebbe brings the answers that Mefarshim give. One of the Mefarshim that asked this question is the Magen Avram. The Magen Avram wrote a Pirush on Medrash that people don't know so much about, but it's called Zayis Ranon. Pirush on the Medrash, a very interesting Pirush. It's the Magen Avram. So, the Magen Avram in his Pirush on the Medrash addresses this question as well, and here the Rebbe brings his answer. And this is the second answer that he gives. So there are those Mefarshim that say, as das was me vet lasted lavai mafresh sein noch 3 ore miklot, that they will designate another 3 cities of refuge, is the mitzvah. It's to fulfill a mitzvah. Whether it's going to be used or not going to be used, that's irrelevant. Just the designating these cities is a mitzvah. Other belashon minchas chinuch, to use another expression that the minchas chinuch says, v'hu gzeiras hakasef. The Torah decrees that you always have to have these cities designated and available. What if someone kills b'shoigig and he has to go there? It's not practically applicable. Doesn't matter. It's gzeiras hakasef to designate cities of refuge. And here the Rebbe brings the actual lashon of. No. It's 2 separate things. Right. The Rebbe brings first from the Magen Avram. That's the Zayis Ranon, and then after that the Rebbe is quoting that the Minchas Chinuch says a similar thing. And here, inside the Sikha, in the parentheses, the Rebbe actually quotes the Lashon of the Minchas Chinuch. Because logically, there'll be no need for Ari Miklat then. Only peace, truth, and goodness will be in the times of the king that we hope for. The Meher Aviyamenu, that's what Beis is. Rak, Gzeiras HaKosov, Lasses HaMitzvah Azais. It's just a decree. We can't understand why, but the Eibusha decrees to do this. Gzeiras HaKosov Shiyeh Sachakel Tisha. Gzeiras HaKosov, the loss of Lavei, there should be a total of 9 Ore Miklot. There's no need. That's the Gzeiras HaKosov. Okay, but the Rebbe doesn't accept this answer. Let's continue. Next page. This is very difficult to accept. Varom, in the Parsha Gufa, the Hemshech, zum Tzivui, the Torah itself spells out. It doesn't just say the mitzvah. It says, Im Yarchev Hashem Lekechas Gevulcha, V'Yisaf B'Lecha Yitshal Yisharim. You're going to add another 3 cities. Firto is the pasuk in Zaktan Tam. The pasuk over here doesn't leave any room for any doubt. It says clearly the reason. V'lo Yishavich Dam Naki B'Kerev Atzecha Asher Hashem Lekecha Noisim Lechanachla. So no blood that should not be spilled will be spilled in the land that Hashem gives you as an inheritance. As euch demelt, weil the Ari Miklot sein verbunden mit der Heilig Nefesh. So the pasuk clearly says that it is connected to Heilig Nefesh. So what you see here is the Rebbe is not rejecting the premise of their answer. The fact that the Torah could give a mitzvah which is a pure gzeiras hakasef and there's no use of the cities, that could be. Maybe it's possibly it's true. The Rebbe, maybe the Rebbe agrees to the premise. Maybe the Rebbe doesn't. The Rebbe doesn't get into it. But what the Rebbe is asking is here. This answer certainly can't be true because the pasuk itself is telling you that this reason of Heilig Nefesh will apply.
You have the same meaning by the rebellious son.
Seder ben Seder Umayra.
Yeah.
Seder Umayra, no, that's a similar thing. That's another thing. Lehoyev nivra. Yeah, but
That's not a Chazal, but in the Torah it's very explicit.
That's
not a Chazal.
Yeah,
But
okay,
that's
but,
not in the Torah.
but over there, the mitzvah and the whole halacha of what you have to do with the Ben Seder Umayra is something that the Torah gives the reason for it, and it makes sense, and it's a preventive thing. Elamai, but Pa'il Mamash, according to one opinion in the Gemara, it never ended up happening. There are so many specific conditions regarding the age exactly and what it does that, yes, be similar to the father, all kinds of things, but it makes it almost impossible, at least according to one opinion. Makes it impossible. But over here, we're talking about a time period where the whole thing doesn't begin b'chlal. It's possible. It's possible theoretically, but very rarely. Over here, we're talking about a time period where there's no Indian of a Heilig Nefesh b'chlal. The nature of the world has changed already. It's like it's not possible in a whole different level. Okay, so the Rebbe here brings another answer, and this answer. This is the answer of the Shalar Kodesh, and this is the first answer of the Magen Avram, also in the Sefer Zayis Ranon. As you see here in Order 21, Rebbe's Mitzayim. As then there are other Mefarshim that say as follows. As the Tzarech from the Ari Miklot Lasad Lavai, the need for these cities is going to be Vetzayin Nor and the Mizmam from Tchilas Yimayis Mashiach. In the first time period when Mashiach comes. Was Damalt is then Lashon the Gemara says, Ein ben Olam Hazeh Limayis the only distinction between the way things are today and the way things are when Mashiach comes in the beginning is whether we're going to be subjugated to a government or not. When Mashiach comes, we're going to be just subjugated to one person, Melech HaMashiach, and we'll have a Beis HaMikdash. But other than that, the nature of the world, not only that, the nature of people and their evil inclination is still going to be there. But then in the next time period, after Mashiach comes, when it comes the time when more daya, which doesn't just mean knowledge, but it also means the connection to the Eibishter on a completely different level, is going to be increased, then then there's no need for Ari Miklat anymore. So the mitzvah is applicable in the first time period. That's their answer. Okay, it's a pretty good answer. Here, the Rebbe brings in Order 21. The Rebbe brings the lashon that it says there's Zayis Ranon in the first head. It says V'yeshloima d'mayri liyamois HaMashiach. It just says those few words. He doesn't spell out much more. So the Rebbe says that this is probably what he means to say that liyamois HaMashiach means in the first tkufa of Yamois HaMashiach when the nature of the world and the nature of people is not going to change. That is, it's going to be the same. In other words, but that's a different Inyan and a Chanami, but I don't think you need the Rebbe's Chiddush of the two Kufas for this Inyan because even if you don't, the Rebbe was Machadish. Did we learn that Sikha here? I don't know if we learned it here. We learned it in another place. That even regarding the time period of Yemais HaMashiach, there are two time periods. But even if you don't say that, so there's Yemais HaMashiach, but then there's going to be the time period which is Tchias HaMeisim or Olam Haba, a later time period that then will be Shini Minagi Shalaylam, and then V'kittu Chapaisam Li'itim, Ruach Tumav Men Haaretz. But in the beginning, when Mashiach comes, there won't be any Shini. Okay. Now, the Rebbe points out a Chiddush that comes out according to this Pshat. If this Pshat is true, it comes out as follows. As from them Tzivui, V'im Yarchav Hashem Lekechas Gevulcha, that this mitzvah that says when Hashem will broaden your borders, to Meisav Zayin, Gimel Arim Miklat Lasad Lava, and therefore you have to add 3 Arim Miklat when Mashiach comes, is a rayat to the Deya Anal and Shittas Rambam. This could actually be used as a proof to the famous opinion of the Rambam, as Ein Ben Elam Azil, Lamais HaMashiach, L'Shib Malchus Bavad. The Rambam paskins like this opinion. In the Gemara, it's the opinion of Shmuel. It's brought in Shas many times regarding different halachas. It's brought in Shabbos, Benegate, Hilchas Muktzeh, regarding carrying weapons on Shabbos. That's one place it's brought. It's brought regarding different things. So over here, the Rambam paskins like this opinion of Shmuel, B'tchila Zman HaMashiach Al-Kaponim, at least in the first time period of when Mashiach comes. The Rambam is Ma'arich B'Sifrei, as the Rambam famously says in the beginning of the last Perek of Sefer Hayad, and Perek Yud Beis of Hilchas Malachim, that Vim Yala Ala Leiv, if it will enter your heart to think, should be Ma'is HaMashiach Yivatel Davim Mimin Hagi Shalayla, that when Mashiach will comes, what's usual, what's common in the world, Teva of the world, will change. Oh, Yeshum Chilish B'Maisa Bereishis, so there'll be some change and something novel in Maisa Bereishis, in nature. So it's not true. It's not going to happen. The world will continue to function and operate as is in the time of Galus. Elamai, the only thing that will change is that Yidden will not be under the rulership of any government. And of course, the Ravid and many Rishonim disagree with this, that we don't paskin like Shmuel, we paskin that when Mashiach comes, right at the beginning of Yemais and Mashiach, there'll be tremendous miracles. On b'meile, but euch sein shaykh the mitzias von heurig nefesh b'shkaga. So therefore, it'll be possible for a person to be with his same nature that he had in the time of Golus, that he could kill someone accidentally, b'shegig. Okay, that's the answer. So here, the Rebbe clarifies here this inyan. Let's take a look. Okay, so that's the b'shkaga here is in parentheses, right? So let's see in order 28 what the Rebbe says about this. So take a look. B'shach ala Torah kan. Shach ala Torah, right over here in Parsha Shoftim, he addresses this subject as well. So he says,
who wrote Shach ala Torah?
Not the Shach, not the Shach.
I'm just testing you.
Yeah, Rabbi Shmuel HaKayin was his name.
It was someone from.
He was a Sephardi. Yeah, Eretz Yisrael, but he was a Sephardi, not the Shach. The Shach, his name I believe was Rabbi Shmuel HaKayin. I believe so. Check it out. You can Google it right now. Shmuel HaKayin, I believe was his name. The Shach, his name was, I don't remember right now.
The Shach was Shapsikain.
Shapsikain, very good, thank you. Exactly. Okay, but I believe his name was Rabbi Shmuel HaKayin. Anyway, so this Shach, the Shach Torah, it could even be that it was before the Shach, which is in Shulchan Aruch. He was a very early, a long time ago. So the Shach writes, Afapi Shuhu Harambam Hailach L'Shitase. The Rambam follows his Shittah, Shakasav Cholo, Oilam Kimenhagin Nayeg, that the world will operate the same as it is now, Im Kolzeh, but nevertheless, Ein Oila Ladas, Shiyeh Ba'oisa Hazman Ratzchanim. Still doesn't make sense to say that it'll be actually murderers. Even if the nature of the world will not change and people will still have a Yetzer Hara, but still, Ad Kedei Kach to say that they're murderers, you see Mashiach, you see a Beis HaMikdash, and the whole Hanhaga of people will definitely be very, very strongly affected by this. So, Ein Oila Ladas, that will be bemazed. Interesting. The tzarechim, but the Rebbe actually writes on this that it's a tzarechim, not necessarily is he right. Share ikir inyan ori miklot hulahayrig nefesh b'shgaga. Oh, no, what's bothering the Rebbe over here is that the Shach is asking that, yeah, let me just say. Share ikir inyan ori miklot hulahayrig nefesh b'shgaga. V'lama ein oyla aladash yeh hayrig nefesh b'shgaga kishaylam kimen hage noyik. Right? So when the Shach says, Ein Oila Ladash Yeh Man Ratzchanim, and therefore he rejects this answer, that in the beginning of Yemais Mashiach there'll be a need for Arei Miklot. So the Rebbe says, well, it's not Oila Ladash, there'll be murderers, but Mazid. But why isn't it Oila Ladash that there'll be Ritziche B'Shaygig? So therefore the Rebbe accepts this answer, and that's why inside the Siche, the Rebbe puts the word Bishgaga. The Rebbe adds the word Bishgaga that even if you're going to say that Mazid, it's not going to go so far, but Bishgaga will be possible in that time period. Okay, the Rebbe continues on with this answer here.
Mazid is the
Yeah.
is irresponsibility. So the first Kufa will have irresponsibilities.
Okay, correct. Yeah, okay. All right, the Rebbe continues with this answer here. Eventually, the Rebbe is going to reject this answer as well. But for the time being, the Rebbe explains a few things based on this answer. With this, we could explain actually something in the words of the Rambam. Nachdem, wie der Rambam redt wegen der Emunah bebias and Mashiach, after the Rambam talks about the source and the importance of belief in Mashiach, and when the Rambam famously says, "As kol misha ena maimen by," one that doesn't believe in Mashiach. He's not only denying.
His name was
Mordechai HaKohen. Okay. Okay. Not only is he denying what it says in all other Nevi'im, as the Rambam brings the sources of the prophecy of Mashiach and Nevi'im, he's also denying what it says. Okay, 1 second. It's called, he's denying also Torah and Moshe Rabbeinu. Shaharei ha-Torah ida olav. Shenamar, the Torah is made, and the pasuk says, Af beparshas Bilam Nemar, because it says, we learned about this, if you remember, the previous sikha that we learned, the Rebbe focused on this inyan very, very much to explain the source that we learn out of here from this pasuk. And then is mamshich and bringt noch a raya in a bazundere halacha. Then afterwards, after the Rambam brings this, where does he bring the source from? He brings the source from Parshas Nitzavim. Then he brings the source from what it says in Parshas Balak, or as the Rambam refers to it as Parshas Bilam. Then the Rambam says in a separate halacha, that by regarding Arim Nikla, the pasuk here says, that Abish will add another 3 cities. You will have to add, that is, another 3 cities to these new places that Abish gives you. This has never occurred yet. The Abish did not command this for no reason. So here, what's the question? And this is the question we learned Barichas about in the other Sikha. Is not move on. Why is the Rambam bringing the raya for Moshiach from Parshas Shoftim here, from Arim Niklot, in a separate halacha? There has to be something unique about this raya that it belongs in a separate halacha. Based on what we said here, we can say as the Rambam will as the mid will the Rambam merame sein. What the Rambam is hinting here with this raya is as the raya from Arim Niklot but tzitzich, nit not to them was sagt in the halacha shalifnei zeh. What the Rambam is saying here is not only a proof for what he said just before this, wegen Bias HaMashiach b'chlal, about the coming of Mashiach in general, naraich zum teichen ha-meduber in the halacha shel achri zeh. What the Rambam is saying here is also going to be a proof for what he's about to say in the next halacha, and that is va'al yale al daitcha. It shouldn't enter your mind to think sha'amelech HaMashiach tzarech laseis oisus u'meivsim, that Mashiach himself has to perform wonders or miracles, or machadish dvarim ba'olam, or innovate anything in the nature of the world, or the Mashiach would have to be mechayim mesim, v'chayetze b'dvarim eila, or anything similar. Ein adava kach. That's not the case. Sharei Rabbi Akiva, there the Rambam brings the famous raya, brings the raya from Ben Kaziba that Rabbi Akiva considered Ben Kaziba to be Mashiach, and he didn't ask him to make any miracles, any meisus or meivsim. That's what the Rambam says in the following halacha.
How does this work with the pages?
Page 110, you got it?
I turn the page.
Oh,
when I
yours is
get,
different.
I'm missing. Eager chosim in that sefer.
Yours is, no, hey.
Got it? Page 110.
Yours is one-sided, that's why.
Okay. So now, why is the Rambam bringing this as the raya from Arim Niklot and a separate halacha? Regarding this point as well, that nothing will change in the nature of the world, is you have a raya for this from the mitzvah to add a ir miklat when Mashiach comes. Was lernt uns, that teaches us as euch b'meisem Mashiach, but sein olam kimonagin noigim must be that the world won't completely change. Ubemele is move on as nit das is in yoni for Mashiach. So therefore we can understand that if the world isn't going to change, then that's not what Mashiach is meant to do. And nit das is a b'china, as that is Mashiach, and therefore this is not going to be the test to know that he's actually Mashiach. So therefore, the Rambam is bringing this raya. It's a remez. The Rabbi here is saying this pshat b'derech remez, that the Rambam is bringing this raya to prove also that the world won't change. We learned the other sikh in Chelik Lamed Daled. There, the Rebbe says a pshat more al pi pashtus, not only a derech remez. Okay, we learned it already. Okay, so far so good. So this is a good answer. Why is it in a separate halacha? Because it's also connected to the following halacha. It's like it's proving a separate point. It's not together with the other rayas that the Rambam brings to prove just a point that the Torah speaks about Mashiach. It's a separate halacha because it's also proving a separate idea that there won't be any shini b'minhagi shalaylam. Okay, but the Rebbe says, B'chlal, this entire answer is difficult to accept. Es ist aber schwer, azoi zu lernen in Rambam. It's difficult to learn in the Rambam this way. Why? Oib the Rambam means to sagen. If this is what the Rambam here means to say, as von der Hisofas or in Miklot is a raya mochachas. It's from this that we have to add these Arim Miklot. It's a clear raya. As Melech HaMashiach darf nicht machen kenesis und meivsim und mechadish dvarim ba'olam. So it must be that Mashiach does not have to perform wonders and miracles and change the world. Wollte das gesagt befeirish, the Rambam would have spelled this out clearly. He would have said, he would have brought this as a clear raya for this, not just with a remes. As das is a raya von a pasuk v'tzivi b'teire. Here you have a clear raya from an actual mitzvah. Und die raya, was bringt von Ben Kazibe, is von Divrei Udrashas Razal. So this doesn't make any sense. The Rambam here is saying a tremendous chiddush, and the Ravid argues on him right away. Why wouldn't the Rambam bring this as a clear raya to his shitta? Right, so it must be that the Rambam holds that having Orei Miklot is not a raya that the world is not going to change. There could be a necessity for Ari Miklat, even in the later Tkufa of Yemei Mashiach, when the world will change. So that still has to be explained. Nachmer, additionally, from the Signan Aloshin, if you look at the style of the way the Rambam writes this, the Rambam hyped on the halacha Gimel Shalachres. What is the Rambam saying? The next halacha, Va'al Yalal Daitcha. It shall not enter your mind. Mashiach is going to perform wonders and miracles in the world. On nit, the Rambam does not say ve'ein amelech Mashiach tzarich lasses chulu. It doesn't just simply go straight into the point that Mashiach does not perform miracles. Is mashma, it seems, as oich noch der halacha base, even after what he already brought in the previous halacha. Vegan ari miklat lasad lavai, that then you'll need ari miklat. Can zayin akasol kadaitach yalal daitcha. It still may enter your mind to think as Mashiach tzarich lasses eises chulu. The Mashiach will perform wonders. Nomen is this Shailo, and here the Rambam begins. You just learned about where the source of Mashiach is in the Chumash. And it says that you have to have Ari Mikla. But you still are going to think that Mashiach will perform wonders. So he has to bring us a new raya from Rabbi Akiva. That's haste. What this means is, as from the Tzivui, Lahaisif Ari Miklat, Lasad Lavai, the mitzvah to add Ari Miklat when Mashiach comes is Kain, Rayanit, as Mashiach went to Daf and Weisen, can I say some this no way proves that Mashiach won't perform miracles. Move on. So based on this, we understand as Eich can rayan it from them as it's ein shinim and hagish shalayla. The fact that we'll have to have Ari Miklat Lasad Lavai does not prove that the nature of the world is not going to change. I mean, this idea here that the Rebbe is saying is also explains if this would be such a clear-cut raya. The Ravid and the other Rishonim would never argue on the Rambam about this. It's a clear pasuk in the Torah. And so the Rebbe is proving this over here from what the Rambam says, that even in the Rambam Gufi, you see that he doesn't even use the Raya from Ari Miklat. But also from the fact that other Rishonim could argue about this. It can't be a Beferish pasuk in Torah against them. Let's see order 36. Rambam, similar, it's mashma from what the Rambam says. Sham Reish Perik Yud Beis, as quoted before. Al Yala Alev should be Moshiach Mashiach Yibatel Davim Menagesh Aleilam. Don't think that when Mashiach comes, anything in the nature is going to change. Sheyachal is Kasol Kadaitach Sheyivutel Dava Menagesh Aleilam. So there can be a thought that something will change in the world. Gam La Achrei Sheyadinon Al Dvar Hisafas Ari Miklat Lasad Lavai. Even after we know that you have the Ari Miklat that will be added. V'shah b'china al Mashiach, eina bazeh, that is. Should tzarich lasses leises echulor l'chadish davar b'elam. The Rambam puts this actually as two separate points, which is a subject for itself. The fact that Mashiach himself does not have to make any wonders and miracles doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be wonders and miracles in the world. It could be there will be. But Mashiach himself, to prove his authenticity, doesn't have to make wonders and miracles. Okay, there's two separate points. But you see here clearly that the fact that you have to designate Ari Miklat Lasad Lavai is not a stira to the fact that the world's going to change and human nature is going to change and Malarat Deis Hashem and Kittu Chabaisam Litim, Ruach HaTomavim and Aret. You still need Ari Miklat. That's the Pella. How and why? How could these two things go together? So here, the Rebbe is going to say an original pshat on the Sinyan. Sif Beis going forward, the Rebbe has a whole new approach to the Sinyan. As we'll see him, it's Hashem next week. Stay tuned. Where do you pick up this shiur online, by the way?